I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Friday, August the 11th, brought to you in part by Toromox by Norbrook. Use Toromox to treat and control gastrointestinal roundworms, lungworms, cattle grubs, mites, and lice. And Toromox is proven to effectively protect cattle from reinfection of key internal parasites. For more information, go to norbrook.com. Schmarket. I hate to title a report that, but the cattle market is my life. It's the bulk of what I do every day, day to day, is prepare these market reports for you guys to listen to, and I'm glad as many of you listen to it as you are. But it's really getting to be a joke, as the main market that I want to keep track of and I want to give you guys and I want to talk about is the cash fed cattle market. Everything else is just a derivative, absolutely. But it is just getting to the point where there's not much market to talk about. Once again, it's Friday morning and less than 10,000 fed cattle have traded in the 5 area in a negotiated manner. It's ridiculous. Your feeder cattle buyers are buying in the blind all week. They don't really know what's going on. They're working off of a live cattle futures contract that's at maturity right here at mid-August, and it's $5 to $9 discount to the few cattle that have sold, which is only in the northern plains. How can you judge what's going on in the market by that? Yet they're in there buying those cattle, aggressively buying those cattle, filling those feedlots up, competing for the cattle against other feedlots that are wanting to fill empty pens in their lots. But it's just getting to be where you're doing it all in the blind. We haven't seen anything really with any teeth to it trade in the southern plains. We have seen one deal trade to a regional packer that traded closer to the northern plains market because they were high quality cattle, but it has absolutely nothing to do with what the market's going to be for southern plains cattle, and the northern plains has been spotty also. So the packers don't really want to provide price discovery, and they don't like competition. Competition breeds higher prices. They do not want that. They have the fed cattle exchange that they could participate in if they're wanting to get in and try to buy cattle. They don't bid and buy cattle on there. They pick around, but for the most part, week to week, they don't really get aggressive in there and start doing that. They just back off the kills. We're going to have the lightest kills since 2016 for our August weeks here. And they just don't want to get in there and push the market at all. Which you can't blame them, because you've got droves of feedlots that can't wait to get into a situation where they promise them all their cattle and have no idea what the cattle are going to bring. But they know that they're going to get the cattle killed when they want them killed. They've got them scheduled for weeks and months out. They're basically just buying cattle as cheap as they can buy them, hedging them to their eyeballs, banking on a big basis there to help them achieve their break-evens. A lot of times, of course, the cattle are working some this year, but a lot of times, a lot of years, the cattle don't work. They just kind of flush, and the feedlot makes a living selling feed, and that's basically where we're at. But as we are losing, and we are currently losing any kind of market transparency at all, don't you guys think, especially you guys that are down the line, background in feeders or raising calves off cows, or backgrounding light cattle, don't you think that it's not going to start trickling down, and then maybe in a few years, or maybe 5 or 10 years, we won't really know what the yearling market is, as everybody will promise all their yearlings to these same guys, and there'll be no market transparency. And then I can foresee a day, maybe 20 years from now, but there may be 5 or 10,000 cattle at a large regional livestock auction, and there's only 2 or 3 guys sitting in the seats to buy them. That's what's happening, guys. That's what's happening right in front of us We're watching it happen, and we're not doing anything about it. And you think, well, what could we do about it? Well, I've been preaching for years about the Cattle Price Discovery and Transparency Act. It's not dead. It's still out there. We have like 25 senators, both Republican and Democrats, that have signed on to that bill, saying that they support it. We can't get it to a vote because your legislators just aren't going to bring it to a vote if they aren't sure that it's going to pass. And I think we have a pretty good chance of getting it passed in the Senate, but the House is a whole different animal there, and you know, they're too concerned with elections all the time. They don't ever really want to do anything. They don't really want to legislate and make laws that affect you know, the whole industry, especially the cattle industry, because there's such a few number of people that actually play in it in a production level, like 1% of the population. We're not high on their guard of what's going on, that they're really have a lot of care about. So, you know, what's going to happen as we keep doing this? You know, and I can't blame necessarily your feed yards for signing on, because we know, even though we're in tight supplies right now, we're going to get to the point probably in 3 or 4 years where our supplies are going to outweigh the demand, and they've got to get those cattle killed whenever they're you know, when they're done, when they're efficiently ready to slaughter. And if you're not signed on with them, you're going to go to the back of the line. And the cattle are inefficient to feed at that point. They're getting to huge weights, and you're basically stuck with them at that point. And it's a very frustrating thing to watch. It's frustrating for me to give you the markets every day when we really don't have a fed cattle market to give you. We routinely have individual sale barns that sell more cattle on their 1 day a week sale than what we sell up through Friday morning. Every week, you know, they're selling feeder cattle, and we're wanting to know what the fat cattle market is. We basically have to wait till Monday morning, have of late here, because they trade the cattle late on Friday after they have to turn in the information. So we don't know what's going on till Monday. You know, by the time Monday gets here, people are wanting to know what the market is that week, not necessarily the week before. But you know, we're flying high right now. We're on really tight supplies of all classes of cattle, and I mean all of them. The market's good. People are making money, and they've kind of put all these worries on the back burner, and that's what probably troubles me the most. These high prices and the tight supplies that we've seen have really cut down on our exports. USDA has forecasted that beef exports are going to be down 9.3% in 2023 over last year. Well, the first half of the year we have that information back, and we're down 11.4%. So we're likely going to be down significantly more on beef exports than what they thought. But you look at the futures market, which doesn't really keep up with what's actually trading in negotiated manner, but August live cattle futures were up 52 cents, trading at 181.10. Now that's $1.10 premium to the last market that we know of, and it only ties to the Southern Plains, has absolutely nothing to do with the Northern Plains market, which does have some negotiation in it. October up 82 cents at 182.52. Your back months were all up pretty good, from 75 cents to up $1.10. August feeder cattle up 85 cents at 248, which is a strong showing there. Of course, it's still trading at a premium to what our index levels are, but they're getting more narrow, and they always meet together because it's a cash settled commodity, and it's less than $2 a premium to what our index are, or actually about $3 to what your CME cash feeder cattle index is, but it's running a day or day and a half behind what a real-time index is. September feeder cattle up 95 cents at 251.57. That's a handsome price up there based on an 800-pound steer, guys. And our back months are up $1.05 to up 122. December new crop corn was up 2 cents, but still under $5 a bushel at 496 1/4. November new crop beans up 9 3/4 cents at 13.18 1/4. Kansas City hard red winter wheat for September up 5.5 cents at 7.67. Fat cattle trade, what little there is to talk about, and I'm talking about all week long here. We just haven't traded hardly anything. Of course, Iowa trades more than anybody because they got a lot of farmer feeders up there. 2,800 head sold on Thursday, 6,500 head for the week altogether. The only thing we saw on Thursday was live price from 187 to 190. Now the 190 is to regionals. Absolutely. And if we didn't have our regional packers, guys, we would already been sunk a long time ago. Nebraska only traded 200 head on Thursday. They've only sold 1,300 head of fat cattle in all of Nebraska, negotiated cash fed. And the only price that we saw on Thursday was a dress price of $2.99. That's pretty handsome out there, but there again to a regional. Kansas sold 1,100 head, and that's all they've sold so far this week, and it was all to a regional at 186. Now there's no way that the bulk of the Southern Plains cattle are going to trade anywhere near 186. They may get to 181 or 182 if the few guys that sell them do a good job. But you know, that we're, like I told you, Texas is kind of being left out by itself, and Southwest Kansas too, because they just can't compete with that. There's too much freight to get any of that northern type demand. Of course, Texas hasn't traded a hoof all week long. They'll trade some here late Friday. They'll try to buy the cheapest, plainest cattle that they can, just like the Packers playbook, and set the market somewhere down there. A few private sources that I heard late on Thursday. I heard some more of the 190 to some regionals, and then I heard some majors bidding from 292 to 295 dressed. Box beef cutout values were down after they're trying to form a rally here, and I think they've regionally or seasonally found a low here a week or two ago. But choice cuts were down $1.49 on Thursday afternoon at 302.03. Selects down 34 cents at 277.80. Your slaughter 491,000 through the first 4 days of the week. That's 3,000 less than last week, 2,000 less than the same week a year ago. And like I said earlier, the lightest August kills weekly than we've seen since 2016. Talk about what else is going on. Western Video Market's having their big sale at Old Cheyenne at Little America there. Coming up here early this week, Monday and Tuesday, the 14th and the 15th. They'll be started early on Monday morning at 8 o'clock Central. Be sure and tune in, and you can watch them on DV Auction or go to wvmcattle.com and pick them up online. They've got over 100,000 head to sell. Got a lot of big yearlings, a lot of them over here in the central part of the United States, closer to the corn. Got a lot of weaned calves on there, more than most video sales have of weaned calves. Of course, they've got some fresh calves right off the cow to sell too, and a lot of them, you know, towards the western part of the United States. But they've also got a good offering of lambs on there if you happen to be interested in that, and several lots of replacement cattle, and they would be top quality replacements, guys. But check them out before the sale at wvmcattle.com. You can look at the videos, you can go through the lots there and see what you might be interested in. Talk about our feeder cattle market. Real-time index on DV Auction, of course based on an 800-pound cash auction steer up through the middle 12 states. Late on Thursday at 246.15, up 20 cents, up again, guys. And it's just been showing strong, guys, and there's a lot of demand for these yearling feeders that are selling right now. Talk about your big sales on Thursday. Farmers and Ranchers Livestock in Salina, Kansas, 4,900 head. Good sale for them. They called the yearling market maybe lower than what it looked to me like whenever I pulled the prices out of there, but the middleweight steers were steady to $2 higher. Yearling steers and heifers were lower. They called them maybe as much as $6 or $8 lower. Sure didn't look maybe that much to me, maybe $4 lower, maybe $6 on the outside. most, but you know, I got to go with the government market report. It's official. It may not be right, but there it is. And Farmers and Ranchers Livestock is your national beef wire stick-out sale of the day. Look at this automated market report through Cattle Market Central, and you see your best tested weights, 858 head of 7-weight steers. They averaged 756 and had a weighted average price of 258.62, including 62 head of 708-pound steers at 271.75. I thought that was pretty smoky. 1,466 head of 8-weight steers averaged 844, weighted average price 248.63, and 316 head of 9-weight steers averaged 916 at 239.69. Look at your heifers. 327 head of 6-weight heifers averaged 660 at 254.92. 605 head of 7-weight heifers averaged 750 on the button, weighted average price 241.95. And 437 head of 8-weight heifers averaged 829 at 235.38. And a stick-out sale on those 8-weight heifers was 65 heifers weighed 809 at 242. Look at winter livestock in Pratt. I finally had a decent run there. They're just out of cattle there, guys. It's been so dry there. Didn't have a lot of cattle turned out in that part of the country, and there goes not a lot of cattle to sell, but 2,900. No recent comparison really for a price comparison, but I saw a stick-out sale at Pratt, 80 head, 830-pound steers, bring 253.85. Mitchell Livestock Marketing in Mitchell, South Dakota had a moderate run of 1,500 head, but the market was sure good. Yearling steers were steady to $3 higher. Yearling heifers $5 to $9 higher, and they've got the top quote for the day. But talk about some individual quote. How about Mocan Livestock Market in Butler, Missouri? A lot of excitement around there because this was the first week that they are on DV Auction broadcasting, so you can watch them on DV Auction from now on every Thursday. Get a hold of them in the office, get approved to bid, and you can buy those top quality calves and yearlings out of Mocan there from the Herzog family. 91 steers weighed 542, bring 306 in Butler, Missouri. How about a market we haven't talked about before? Woodward Livestock Auction. That's Seth Hale running that market there. And he had a good sale. He gave me a quote out of there. Wasn't a big lot, but 34 3-colored steers weighed 714, bring 269.75. My God, what would a load of blacks bring? How about Bluegrass Stockyard South in Stanford, Kentucky? They sold 61 steers weighed 870 pounds at 249.60. And the best quote that I saw anywhere on Thursday in your Macrosin, no BS, top quote for the day, come out of Mitchell Livestock Marketing in Mitchell, South Dakota. Jared Herman sells 58 steers, weigh 926, bring 254.60. And that's your feeder flash for Friday.